For the past 60 years, there has been a huge rise in entitled women, and that has got even worse since the advent of social media. Which begs the question, if you're a single man looking for a relationship with a quality woman, what do you do to handle these entitled women? And that's what I'm going to share in this video. I'm Jack Peach from Dynastic Dating, and I'm happy for you to be here. Now, before we answer the question how to handle an entitled woman, we have to figure out why there are more entitled women today than ever before and whether that's actually even the case. Because we see on social media, certain platforms, certain influencers, they tend to shine a spotlight on the worst segments of women today. And these women absolutely exist. The kind of women who use social media to farm guys' attention, who are, loudmouth, not particularly high quality, not particularly high character, and they make for a more sensationalized view of women. But the reality is, most women don't actually fit in that camp today. I married a great woman. All my clients end up in good relationships with high quality women. There are plenty of these women still out there, and we need to make sure we're not shining a focus on the worst elements of society, which do exist, right? And we also need to understand that due to the social changes in the past 60 years, the bigger problem is actually what women want and need from a relationship has changed. And if we as single men who want a relationship want to actually get into that position, we have to adapt our mentalities and understand the realities of the world we live in and the dating landscape that exists. Now, to better understand that, we have to first explore the concept of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which we can do now. As I'm sure most of you watching this video are aware of, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the concept that there's kind of an inverted triangle of needs, where at the bottom of the pyramid we have base needs, things that we have to get met, otherwise we're gonna die. Things like food, water, shelter, etc. Then there's another layer of other needs which we can only take care of once those base needs have met. Things like social approval, ostracization, sex can be part of that. And then we keep going further and further up the pyramid to less pressing needs, but things that become more important as we go through life and we get other needs met. And historically, women required a relationship to get their very base needs met. They couldn't work in the same way as men, they didn't have access to the same rights as men, and it meant that if they wanted to be able to have, a reasonable standard of living, they had to be married to a wealthy man or a man who could provide for them. That need for provision was much higher than it is today, because today, women can work. The financial and the economic situation of the world is better than it's ever been due to automation, technology, and other things like that, which means that, women can work themselves and they can pay for a house, they can provide food, they have water. That means that they don't have to worry about getting into a relationship to have those needs met, even for social approval, right? In the past, women were stigmatized if they were long-term single. Today, they're not. They are able to be single, and there's no kind of social pressure, negative social consequences associated with that. Even sex, historically, you had to be in a relationship to have sex, and I would still recommend that, by the way, for a bunch of different reasons, but rightly or wrongly, women don't need to be in a relationship to have sex anymore. We have a different, more socially liberal world that is very, very much more sexually liberal than it used to be historically. Now, we can bemoan this. We can say how terrible this is for society, and there are negative consequences of this, but it's reality. If you want a relationship, you have to adapt to the reality of the world we live in. And that means you need to be able to provide higher level needs on this hierarchy of needs than you ever did previously. And there's a big difference between women who want more from a relationship than they did in the past and women who are entitled. So that's the first distinction we have to make. Is this woman actually entitled, or is she just a normal woman who lives in today's society? Because there's a big difference in the character of these two women. Now, the character of women is one of the most important things that we want to be looking out for in a relationship. If you want a healthy relationship, she has to be someone of high character. So if you keep running into entitled, unstable women, it begs a deeper question, which is, why do you even want to be with these women, let alone want to handle them? And if you're putting a woman's looks and the level and the depth of her beauty above everything else about her, that points to a problem with you. Okay, you're too focused on the superficial, the surface level, and not upon the other aspects of what make a relationship work. Okay, there's much more to a good relationship, a good sexual dynamic, than just physical attraction. Now, that isn't to say that physical attraction doesn't matter. Of course it does. You know, if you're in a relationship with a woman, you want that at some point to become a sexual relationship. You know, we're not looking for friendship. We're not looking to, take care of them or look after them just because they're a good person. There has to be a threshold of attraction that must be met. But if you're going to get to the point where you're overlooking unstable, unhealthy women because of their looks, that is a problem with you. And you have to look deeper into why I am okay with this, or why I am not respecting myself enough to get a better quality woman with higher quality character. And there may be some deep work that you require to be done as a result of that. Sometimes it can be things from childhood where we get used to, maybe our mom was a bit unstable and we kind of associate that with a healthy kind of romantic dynamic. Sometimes it can be just caring more what other people think than what's actually good for us, because there is a lot of social capital that comes with having a beautiful woman, but what you're doing, if you're focusing on what other people think about your relationship more, is you're actually putting other people's view of you above what you think of yourself. And these are all things that you have to unpack and that you have to fix if you want a healthy relationship. So rather than asking the question, how do I handle an entitled woman? Instead ask yourself, is this woman actually entitled, or do I just need to provide more value to her because she lives in a different cultural context to the past? And number two, if she is entitled, why should I be with her anyway? You need to value yourself higher than just accepting a woman who has very poor character because she's pretty. Now, if she does have good character and maybe she just requires more from a relationship than in the past, what can you offer? Well, you have to be able to make her feel a certain way. Like, women today require their emotions being taken care of, or to get like emotional value from a relationship more than historically the case. Because that, like I say, their base needs are taken care of. So if you don't make a woman feel like her life is better with you in it, you don't feel like she has more enjoyment from life, like she can have fun, she can self-actualize as an individual, you're not going to be able to make this relationship work in the modern dating world. It's just reality, I'm afraid. This is why so many of my clients, when they go through the program with me, they manage to learn to emotionally communicate, to make women feel a certain way with them, to be able to build into the right kind of relationship dynamic that means that they can feel like we are growing towards something together. That's why so many of my clients end up in long-lasting, meaningful relationships, because I teach them what is required for a modern relationship. I'm not sucked into this like old-fashioned traditional way of looking at things. Yes, There are benefits to that, and actually what I try and do is thread the needle between modern reality and kind of the benefits of traditional relationships too, because not everything about traditional relationships is good either, guys. Believe me, I live in a traditional country. There's a lot of bad stuff, and like, you might think you want a traditional woman, but that comes with a whole different load of problems. And if you've grown up in a Western society, you actually don't want that, because you will find it frustrating and a bit boring, honestly, yourself. So what you need to do is need to be able to provide these deeper levels of needs. And instead of thinking about how to handle an entitled woman, you need to think about how can I value myself to be with a better woman, and how can I meet these women. And if you want to meet more high quality women, I'm going to drop a link to my free guide to meeting your ideal match that provides 3 great foolproof strategies that all my clients use to meet more high quality women. And I've also got another really useful video on this topic, which will help you avoid and learn to identify the real entitled women. And it's called "What's the Leading Cause of Divorce?" It's a really important video for you to understand about these type of women and how you can avoid them, and therefore avoid the negative consequences that might come with a bad relationship later down the line. So I hope you found this video illuminating, and I hope you realize that you shouldn't be thinking about how to handle an entitled woman. And you shouldn't be thinking as well that all women today are crap, that all women today are entitled. It's not the case. If she is an entitled woman, these women do exist, find a better woman. And and figure out whether or not she is actually entitled, and whether you just need to develop the skills and the abilities to date effectively in the modern dating landscape. So I hope you found this video valuable, guys. Till the next time, Jack out.